Joining me today, I have the pastor of Encounter Life Ministries right here in Winnipeg, Marty McLean. Marty, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Absolutely. We want to hear more about this upcoming event. It's called Nations for First Nations. Tell us all about it.
Well, it's a conference that is coming up on June 5th, 6th, and 7th. This is a conference that is chaired and spearheaded by my dad, Reverend Robert McLean from the Harper Sanctuary. And I'm working alongside with him in organizing the event and just putting all the different pieces together and getting the word out there. So it's a vision that has been burning in my dad's heart for a long time. And him as one of our elders of our church and senior pastor of his church, he's been wanting to, he's been praying about it, and he's been wanting to find a time and a place, and this is it. So this conference is based on a vision that spans over, his 50-plus years of ministry, and also it is one of the cornerstones of this conference is based on the vision of Elijah Harper, which he had shared 30 years ago this year. And so I could share a little bit more about that.
I would love to hear. What was his initial vision back then?
His initial vision was that for our First Nations people to recognize that, in order for us to bring about healing in our First Nations communities is to look at the spiritual element. And a lot of times that's missed, and we look at other programs, we look at government to help alleviate, or we look for answers in different areas or levels of government. And what Elijah stated was that it's the spiritual element that is missing. And him being a person of faith too, growing up as a pastor's son, he was instilled those values, that, he's carried on with him throughout his career in politics. And it always goes back to that. He says, a lot of times in media, when I share my heart and my vision for our people, it's often skewed to suit to whatever channels it's being shared on. And he says that the true vision of Elijah Harper, I believe, has never been shared. And this goes to the heart of that. And what he shared, he says that it's the spiritual element and those values and the teachings that he received from his dad, who was a longtime pastor, was those pillars that he lived by. And of course, he had his struggles during his lifetime, but it came back to that place there as he was on his later years, that it really shone through like his life, that it was really faith is what he was talking about. And, based on, this faith in God, our creator, that we need to look at that and really work on that spiritual level first in order for us to have that true transformation.
Love that. When it comes to 4 days of this event, what will be taking place?
Well, first off, we're going to start with a gala event. And what we're going to be doing is presenting different cultures that will be presenting their form of worship. We have a group that are from South Korea. They're based out of, I believe, British Columbia. They'll be performing a presentation and expressing their form of worship. We have a local group too of just a different multi-ethnic group of people from different parts of Africa, and that will be also sharing their expression of worship. And we have other that's just to name a few of the things. But what we wanted to really showcase and present in that light, that all these nations coming together and expressing, that the way they worship our Creator, God. And as well, also we have we'll have our First Nations people there represented. And the heart of this conference is to also show that, all these nations are standing behind First Nations too and pushing us forward. We truly want to see that transformation and healing and change in our communities, but it takes all the nations, to work together. And I believe that's really too also the one of the prayers that our Lord had prayed, that we would come together in unity. And even in the scriptures it says, in the book of Psalms, how beautiful it is, how pleasant it is, to see all of us, come together in unity. There's such a power in that. And so it is also a call to unity and working together, and also to share from our perspective as Indigenous believers the truths that we've learned that we could share with others, and even inviting other people to work alongside with us in reaching out to our people. And so we're going to be sharing different perspectives during the workshops in the next following days. The gala is going to be a beautiful event. We have some special presentations lined up, like I said. And also our National Chief, Cindy Woodhouse, will be there. And I'm looking forward to this because she just yesterday, was able to have a sit-down audience with King Charles, and which is amazing. I am just so glad to see that. I'm sure she'll be sharing remarks on that. And what she did was remind him that of the treaties that we have, in honoring the treaties. It helps for the betterment of our people. And, there's messages there that she had shared with him. And also, in different levels of government that they've highlighted too, that, a lot of the things in our nation needs to the issues that we face as Indigenous people, they need to listen to our voices now. There's solutions there that we could share and bring about that change. So Cindy's going to be there. National Chief Cindy Woodhouse will be there, along with her mother, who will be doing the opening prayer in Ojibwe. And she will also be sharing the Lord's Prayer. So without giving out too much, you could check out we'll have the agenda out today.
Nice.
And the workshops, again, we have 11 speakers that are lined up. All different topics, from truth and reconciliation to economic prosperity, cultural preservation. These people are experts in their area, and a lot of these, the wisdom that they'll be sharing too is based on a biblical foundation. So it's going to be amazing. So there'll be 2 days of workshops. Right now we have it as the registration is free and open to all. We invite all nations to come and join us. The gala, again, free registration. And but we'll have the information in the way of the agenda and everything else, and speaker profiles today.
Great.
And just one thing to know too is that we're looking for people to stand behind us and support us too in the way of sponsorship. We didn't want to charge a price tag on this, but we wanted the community out there to stand behind and say, hey, yeah, this is important for us. We need to stand behind them. So we're looking for organizations, churches, individuals to stand behind us and help support. We wanted it to be sponsor-based. We didn't want to exclude anybody that couldn't pay a high price to a gala or a workshop, for example. And because we want as many people to come there and to hear the knowledge that's going to be shared in the next few days.
Absolutely beautiful. I would love to know, hopefully this isn't too ignorant a question, is an event like this itself working towards truth and reconciliation?
In a huge way, yes, it is. And it goes back to the original vision of what Elijah Harper shared. A lot of the movements that you see today are based on come from that vision that Elijah had shared. One main thought here when it comes to Elijah, we remember when he held up that feather in the legislature, and he, the Indigenous people were left out of the picture there, and there was going to be huge changes to the Canadian Constitution. And Elijah stood up and held up that feather and said, no. He voted no. He says no. And because of that, it brought to light that we need to look at indigenous issues, that we need to work as in a relationship where it's nation to nation, First Nations for in our nation. And when you look at these movements, the roots of these movements come from that vision that Elijah Harper had originally stated 30 years ago. And so a huge part of this is truth and reconciliation. It is you'll see that it's the interwoven theme throughout all the different topics and presentations that we'll be sharing. And I think it's wonderful for the church to be involved in that. John Chrétien, I'll just share this. He actually stated that too during that time, that time Elijah shared his vision, and he said that we need to look at this spiritual element, but the church has to lead it. That's what he said. It's the church that needs to lead it. And, now we see churches such as ourselves, Encounter Life Ministries, the Fairford Sanctuary, taking that place and sharing. It's really never been done before on this scale. When Dad first shared that vision with me, I was just blessed to hear it and everything else. And then I asked Dad, how are we going to do this and who's going to do this? And he looked at me and he says, well, you and me. So I had to catch my breath there for a second. So, but I know the importance of this. It's very important for us to do this. And I'm looking forward to maybe year after year that we do this and share this knowledge and invite other people to come in and be part of that conversation. Even the setup of the workshops, where we have roundtables, we want to encourage that dialogue and talk, and also establish those relationships. That's the main thing. With First Nations people, a relationship is first. It's very important to establish that first. Then we could talk about other things later, issues, business at hand, or whatever it is. But it's really based on that relational part. That's very key and very important to make those connections. And from there, that's what we want to encourage too, is for people to come together. And the takeaway from it is like they've learned something, but they've also made lasting connections with people that were part of this conference.
Beautiful. We are going to share the links for people to connect, to see how to learn more, maybe sponsorship, and find out all the details of this. Is there anything else you'd like to share this morning?
I'll just share the one quote that Elijah shared, and goes back to what the cornerstone here is too as well. And we'll be commemorating the 30th year of that vision. And since the Sacred Assembly was held in 95, and what he shared at the Sacred Assembly was that he said, I have a vision that lies in the heart and soul of our people for this country we call Canada. Above all, this vision embraces the supremacy of God, our Creator, and is inherent in the treaties that were made with the newcomers that came to this land. So that speaks to the heart of this vision that he had shared, and we're honored to take that time to honor his family, which will be present in honoring that living legacy that will continue on. On the last night, we have youth that will be gathering there, and we're going to honor the youth, and we're going to pass that vision on to that next generation that they would carry it on. So this vision will continue on, and it's all for the betterment of our nation, Canada, and also the betterment of our people, the First Nations people. And, we just look forward to what God is going to do in the land.
Amen. You heard it. You are invited to Nations for First Nations. All the details will be up on our app and website. Thank you, Pastor Marty, for sharing your heart.
Thank you for having me today.